Operation Fortitude. It's a massive interagency security operation in Melbourne this weekend. At least it was supposed to be.
How to screw up a security announceable in 5 easy steps. Step 1, leak your plans. Make sure that when Cabinet decides on a strategy to announce one national security initiative every week until the election, you leak it to the press just to get people suspicious. Step 2, announce the announceable and oversell it by telling media that Australian Border Force agents will be doing random background visa checks in Melbourne on any individual they cross paths with.
They're clearly on a mission to make people concerned and to make people fearful and begin this process of dividing the community.
Step 3, commence backpedal. When your first announcement triggers outrage, issue a second statement contradicting it, saying Border Force will not stop people at random in the street.
That was a press release that was cleared at a low level in the organisation. It was, in my description, clumsily worded.
Step 4, launch your operation. Or not.
This was, I suppose, meant to be one of those announcements where you see uniforms and flags and all of that sort of stuff. But as you can see, the only pronouncements being made now are by the protesters, and the uniforms are all there.
Step 5, cancel everything.
Not only has the press conference been cancelled, but the whole operation has now been cancelled for this weekend. No word on whether it will happen again in the future, but definitely will not be happening this weekend, and the police have specifically cited community concern about the operation.
Well, Barry Cassidy's seen some weird stuff, but I reckon this is a new one even for him. Barry, what on earth just happened?
Look, Melbourne today said to the authorities, don't mess with us. It was that simple, and yet it was quite extraordinary. And I'm not just talking about the protesters who came out of their offices and headed towards Flinders Street Station. It was a Twitter-led thing. And, you know, this time it wasn't so much outrage on Twitter, but I think it was ridicule. And in the end, mockery. I think this project was mocked out of existence.
Have you ever seen an announcement go this pear-shaped?
Not this fast, not this fast. And you know, it was such an Australian thing in a way, because I do think Australians do have a rather healthy scepticism towards authority, and today we saw that in spades.
What was extraordinary, though, Barry, was it was 45 minutes of protest, and then it was all over. And it wasn't that big a crowd. You say the Twitter element was strong, Melbourne took a strong stand, and the ridicule. Why do you think that was? Why was it different this time?
Because it was wrong on so many levels. For a start, the Border Force, there's still question marks over its authority and jurisdiction. And where was the authority and jurisdiction to carry out an exercise like this? Where do they have the authority to just randomly stop people and check on their visa status? How do they identify the people they wanted, that they want to target? And you have to ask, why did everybody sign up to this? Border Force put it out there, but the Victoria Police signed up, Yarra Trams were there, Metro Rail, they were all part of it, and they all thought that there was a role for them to play.
Well, you're right, they got the message. James Massola from Fairfax tweeted this today, which was really interesting. He said, a Liberal texts me, quote, we're cleaning up our self-inflicted, I think that's hiccups, much faster now. Normally that would have taken a week. High five!
A bit of gallows humour there, I think, and that's about all they're left with after, you know, some of the screw-ups that have happened really ever since the Bronwyn Bishop thing took off, and the government's had a bad run, and I think there was just a reference to all of that.
Independent MP Andrew Wilkie has come out very strongly today. What do you make of these comments?
This is something that Joseph Stalin would be proud of. He would be proud of Prime Minister Tony Abbott. The former East German secret police, the Stasi, would be impressed by this.
Well, look, he's blaming Tony Abbott for all of this. The Border Force will say that it was their call, it was their idea, it was their project, and the government will, of course, try and distance itself from the whole thing. But in the end, the government set up Border Force. This was really their first public test, and it was a big fail, so the government wears some political stigma because of that.
Well, terrible idea, but at least it was entertaining for us. Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
Well, clearly Melbourne is not on Team Australia.
No.
Really?
I'm a little bit disappointed in Go Ahead, because the one that intrigued me most was that it wasn't just the trams that were on board with this, it was the taxi directorate.
Yeah, what was with that?
I don't know. I had visions of me taking a cab around Melbourne on Saturday and, you know, Raj leaning over and saying, "Where is visa?" Show me visa! So I can get away.
You nailed the hand movement as well. It was good.
I can get away with it because I'm Egyptian and we're all the same, so it's fine. But in all seriousness, the thing that actually really bothers me about this, the point Barry made there, was all the other agencies that got on board. Like Vic Police, this does a huge amount of damage to their credibility in the community, right? And they've been really, like, I'm a big supporter of Vic Police. They do a lot of great community outreach. They build a lot. They believe in community policing. They build a lot of great relationships. And then they get on board with something like this. Can they recover?
Yeah, well, you wonder who was not there saying, guys, we're about protecting the community, getting their trust. This is going to get everyone offside. Completely, we can't sign up to this.
Guys, I think the aim of the game now is finding a convincing scapegoat, yeah?
Yeah.
If we can just blame all of this on someone and just move on, I think that would be great.
Indeed. And
Any
Raj,
suggestions?
No, some low-level bloke we don't know very well, I suppose.
Raj, if you are watching, hit him up for a visa.